Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, welcome to Love Your Body, Love Your Life. My name is Jenna. I am the host of today's show, and I'm also the author of the book titled Love Your Body, Love Your Life, 52 Tips That Will Radically Change Your Health. My book is available on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. And welcome to my show, you guys. I'm always happy to be live. I was not live last week, which actually inspired today's show. That I'm going to get into. So last week I wasn't live because I did some filming. I did like a raw chocolate recipe filming type situation for my new launch of my coaching website, which is all about health and wellness and beauty and eating for beauty and all the good stuff under the wellness umbrella. So, I thought it would be a fun idea to share my raw chocolate recipe right before Easter. So it was kind of an Easter theme. And later on in the show, we're going to be showing a little clip of the video that I did last week and sharing the recipe. So hang tight for that video. And also right off the bat, I encourage any questions that come up today because I'm going to be talking about raw food eating and conscious eating. And so as always, I'm going to share a personal story as to how I actually discovered raw food because I don't know if anybody's listening and being like, what is raw food? I've never heard of that. And we're going to get into all that. And I had not heard of it either, to be honest. And so this was quite some years back. It was around, just to kind of give you context, it was around 2009, I would say. And at the time, I had just gotten actually re-signed with a modeling agency. I modeled a lot as a teenager, and then my life went a completely different way, and I got into finance and real estate and just a totally different route. So in 2009, I decided that why not give it a try and try to start doing some creative stuff. And one of the things that I did love was photo shoots and modeling and, just being around that kind of energy. So in 2009, I got re-signed with an agency, and I was just kind of, to be honest, like job hopping and just kind of trying to find my way in a new path and a new way of living. I didn't really want to do finance and real estate anymore. And at that time, at that period of my life, I had a little bit of cushion for me to be able to search for something else to do. So my point is I've always been into health and beauty. So in 2009, I will get to all of your questions. Thank you, Bill, for actually asking that question. We might have to pop it back up because it came up really quick. But anyways, so in 2009, I was at a health expo, and I met a woman. Her name is Veronica. I won't say her last name just for live purposes. I don't want her last name out there with no consent. So her name was Veronica. I met this woman, and I immediately was kind of drawn to her because she had this really glowy skin and just like, I don't know, there was just a presence about her. You know how some people have this presence about them? There was just a presence about her that you couldn't deny, right? So I was actually working a booth, and she came up to the booth, and I started to talk to her and ask her questions like, what do you do for your skin and all this stuff, right? And so she ended up telling me that she was a raw foodist. And I was like, what's a raw foodist? I had no idea. And she proceeded to tell me that she was a raw foodist. She was writing a book called Raw and Sexy at the time. And so we got into this long discussion about raw food. I've always been curious. I always ask a lot of questions. So of course I was asking her 20 questions, like, well, how and what, and just I wanted to know all about raw food. It was just like, I don't know. It was almost like somebody like just opened another door for me, like a secret door that I had never discovered. And so I was really, really curious and interested. So she obviously was asking me questions about what I was doing at the time. And I was telling her I was just kind of figuring it out. And I loved health and beauty. I was doing a little bit of modeling. And so she asked me if I would be interested in being a model for in her book. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. That's cool. I liked the opportunity. And so we exchanged numbers, and to be honest, I don't even know how, like, exactly how it went down, but I remember saying to her, I'd love to have the opportunity, but I feel like I kind of want to walk the walk, like walk the talk, or however that saying goes. Like, in other words, I wanted to actually be a raw foodie if I'm going to be modeling this in this book, right? So she said, well, Jenna, why don't you come to my condo in LA, in Santa Monica, and I can treat you to a lunch, and you can experience a raw food lunch. So, and I lived in Newport Beach at the time, and she was in Santa Monica, which is in LA. And so for people that aren't familiar with that, that's a good hour-and-a-half drive, right? Almost 2 hours. So I said, sure, I will come to your home, and I will have a raw food lunch. So we set up the time, and I, set up the date, and here I am driving out to Santa Monica to her condo to experience a raw food lunch. So I get there, you guys, and beautiful condo, by the way, gorgeous, like all white outside, just a really pretty exterior place. And I was like, wow, this is really pretty. Like, I was excited, I was like, oh, I can't wait. So I walk into her condo, and the first thing I noticed was it was a very open, like wide condo, like open floor plan, I guess. And so you walk in it straight into the kitchen, and she had all kinds of like cooking utensils all over the place. Just like, it was just crowded. Her kitchen was crowded with cooking utensils and everything you could think of, a blender, a wheatgrass like maker, it was just really overloaded with stuff. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. And then also what I noticed when I walked in was the smell. Like, it smelled like grass, to be honest. Like, it was just like grassy smell, just really earthy. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? Like, it wasn't like a good, like kind of homey smell when you walk in, you smell chocolate chip cookies or anything like that. It was just grassy and earthy kind of smell. So I was like, oh gosh, okay. So I get there, I'm a little bit like, okay, what have I gotten myself into? This all unfamiliar. And then to top it off, just to give you guys set the scene here, she said to me, it's only me and you and another friend. And I was like, okay, cool. It's going to be intimate. And so her friend walks in, and he is dressed in, like, he's a monk, basically. He's bald, and he has like the drape over him, like the whole garb, right? Like, it's just, he's a bald monk, and he came to enjoy a raw food lunch. I guess, that's what monks are in. I don't know. I don't know that, like, I'm not like saying that's a fact, but in my mind, I was like, wow, okay, like this is very not me. I'm very safe to where I go, right? Inside, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what did I do? Did I get myself into not a good situation? Like I just had all these weird feelings going on. But it was fine, you guys. I was fine. Of course, I didn't say anything. I was just being, very, I have manners. I sat and she made the table very beautiful. And she served on like really nice china. And anyway, so this was my personal story on how I'm introduced to raw food, right? So we eat this raw food lunch. She made sandwiches, soup, salad, and like I feel like we had some sort of dessert, but I don't remember. It's like, yeah, something after the lunch. It was so long ago. But it was actually not that bad. I was like very impressed. I was like, okay, like I was picturing it to taste really like kind of bad, or like earthy, like I was smelling, but it wasn't that bad. I was really impressed with the taste. And I remember leaving there feeling like, sometimes when you eat a meal and you leave and you're like really stuffed and full. Well, with this experience, I left and I didn't feel that at all. I was super light, I wasn't hungry. I just felt really good and like my body digested it nicely. So I drove home and I told her that I would take the opportunity up. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to be a raw foodie for 3 months. So that's what I did. I went on this raw food journey for 3 months. It was summertime. Um, and yeah, so when I'm into something, you guys, I'm into it, right? So I immediately was researching all the raw foodists like that I could find on the internet. And I'm sure they're still around, but there's two raw food people that still stay in my mind. One of them's Tanya Zavasta, and she's actually has a great story of how she healed her joints and her hips. She had these really like bad joints and bad hips. And she has a cool story on how she healed her hip. Like, I feel like she had a surgery, if I can remember correctly. She healed the hip surgery. And then, yeah, she's a total raw foodie. And then there's David Avocado Wolf, which is another raw foodist, which he brings in another aspect of raw food. And he talks about, like, he brings in the aspect of not killing animals and all of that kind of conversation, right? So I was just like super intrigued. And like I said, I did feel like somebody opened up a brand new door for me. Like I was kind of in the secret, like raw foodie club, So I was super into it, you guys, super into it. And so I did raw food for 3 months. And basically what it is, to define raw food, it is food that is not cooked over 118 degrees. So everything is unprocessed, uncooked. Fruits, vegetables, all your foods are basically unprocessed and uncooked. So what did I gain from that? What did I see from that? Well, immediately my digestion was completely just 100% better. Okay. I've always had that kind of an issue. Not an issue, but it could be better in that area, right? So when I went on this raw food diet, and by the way, people live like this, you guys. I hate to use the word diet because there are people like Tanya Zavasta and David Avocado Wolf that actually live their lifestyle like this. So, but for me, I just wanted to experience it because I got this modeling job and I wanted to see how my body would react. So immediately I had better digestion. I was running a lot of miles at the time, and my miles became like I felt faster in my time, and I would run 3 miles probably every day or every other day. And I had a time, and I noticed that my time was faster. Like I had more energy. And also I lost weight. And I'm already pretty thin, but those were the 3 top like things that I noticed right off the bat was weight loss, my digestion was on point, and my runs were way like faster. So yeah, I wanted to just say that. I don't know what question we had, but I think I might have answered it. How does raw affect the body? Okay. So basically, I feel like I might have answered that question already. If you Google raw food benefits, what is raw food and how is it different? Okay. So let me start out with the benefits. If you Google raw food benefits, it will say that it's good for digestion, which will benefit skin, which will benefit you in weight loss. It's for some people, this kind of way of eating weight loss is really simple because basically you're eating whole foods with all the nutrients in them. So instead of depriving your body, which that's what dieting is, if you want to go on a weight loss, like if people want to have like eat for weight loss, most of the time you're eliminating foods and you're trying to stay away from certain foods, which you are on this kind of diet, but you're eating whole foods with all of the vitamins and minerals in them. So a lot of people say that it's a healthier way of eating because you're not cooking the minerals out of the foods. You're eating all your minerals and all your vitamins in the whole food, the density of the foods. So I think that should answer those 2 questions. And it affects your body, like I just said, skin, digestion, weight loss. Those are like the top 3 things. And also some people might be allergic to certain foods, right? And with raw food eating, you're not eating anything cooked. So you're not eating, cooked meat, cooked eggs. You're not eating anything like that. So it's basically, it will clean you out for sure because you're detoxing. You're eating all raw veggies and fruits, and you're just going to detox your body. So, yeah. So anyways, so that's what inspired today's show was my video from last week, because what I did in my video from last week is I shared my raw chocolate, because at the time, you guys, I did this for 3 months and I had to get really creative with what I ate. And I still wanted to eat my little treats, right? I wanted to have chocolate. I wanted to have, little like treats here and there. So I had to get really creative. So I found this raw chocolate recipe and then I made it my own. And it's super simple. I think there's like 5 or 6 or 7 ingredients in the recipe. And you just basically stir it all together. Nothing is cooked, right? And you put it in whatever kind of tray you want. You put it in the freezer and you're good to go. We're going to show the video right now, but basically it's, I did, like I said, an Easter theme. You can pull it up, Rebel. I did an Easter theme. So here's my video. There's no sound, but
forever I lose it, I lose my mind, falling for it every time, drowning the dead and the blue in your eyes. It's like a rush of something got me seeing stars. I fall apart, this crush is gonna crush my heart. So lush, I'm loving lying in your arms. I fall apart, this crush is gonna crush my heart.
So that was the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If any of you want a raw chocolate recipe, you can go on to sign up for my newsletter at my website, jennalobos.com. You can also go to Instagram, where I shared the recipe under my name, Jenna Lobos. And if you'd like, you can also replay this video and kind of pause at where I shared the recipe. But like I said, you guys, it's super simple. It's gluten-free, it's sugar-free, dairy-free. And it took me like 30 minutes max, and that includes the freezing part of the candy. So you mix all the ingredients together, you freeze it for like 20 minutes, and you're done. And like, to be honest, today I have like so much of this batch left over because I don't eat them all like every day because they're super rich and like they're just really good. They're yummy. And you only really need one to satiate the chocolate craving that you have. But today what I did was, because they're in the freezer, I made my protein drink. What I do for my protein drink is I heat my almond milk and then I add my protein. And today I just took one of those pieces of candy and I added it in and I mixed it all together. I blended it and it's so yummy. It's like rich, kind of milky because it has coconut oil in it. So you can get creative and use the chocolates however you'd like. So anyway, so yeah, I was on a raw food journey for about 3 months. What happened was I started to feel, because everything that you're eating is uncooked. So pretty much it's all cold foods, right? There's nothing really warming about raw foods, if you think about it. So what happened is I started to get really kind of cold, and I knew that my body needed like some warming up. And I could drink hot teas. It wasn't like that was out of the picture, but I just kind of knew instinctively that my internal organs just needed more cooked foods, right? So I slowly started to add in. I think for a while I did go vegan. So I went from Raw Foodie to vegan eating, which was obviously no meats, no eggs, no fish. It was just all plant-based diet food. So I did that for a little bit of time for a transition from raw food eating. And then I went into veganism for a little bit. And then I started to slowly introduce back eggs and fish. So I just wanted to, yeah. Okay. So Heather has a question. Do you have a video of the protein? So I don't have a video of that, but you know what, Heather, if you want to go on my Instagram, actually at Jenna Lobos, if you have Instagram, I do have one video on there with the green shake that I make pretty much daily. But I love your question and it's actually inspiring. So I will plan to do another video of the protein shake that I make. Looking at the video. So Heather, just to wrap up. Yeah, I'll do another video for you for the protein shake one because it's fun and it's something that I do every day. I add a lot of healthy stuff to my shake, spirulina, maca. But I'll make another video and I'll share that. But go to my website too, heatherjennalobos.com. Sign up for my newsletter because I will be definitely sharing all of my yummy recipes that I have learned and created over the years. As you guys can tell, I've been definitely on a food journey, right? So what was that other question before I, looking at the video for raw chocolate and the whole of your body, live your life, pursue, wouldn't we also have to follow your exercise routine? Okay, so will you share with us? Yeah, I will definitely share with you my exercise routine. My question to you, thank you for the question. Thank you for coming on the show and asking. I think before I share mine, I really would love to know what you do now. Because I feel like if I knew what you did now, I guess what I'm hearing in the question is you want to add exercise in, but maybe you don't like it, or maybe you don't have something that you do like. Because first and foremost, I feel like you need to find something that you love for exercise. Because at the end of the day, you guys, it's really just about moving your body. Okay. I mean, it could be honestly for fun, get a hula hoop and do some hula hooping in your house. Like truly, like I did that during COVID. I would walk and then I would come home and dance in my apartment, and I would do hula hooping for fun. So I just want to throw that out there because some days, and I'm going to share my routine, but some days I don't have time to do a full workout because I'm super busy. So I'll just put on my iPod with all my music that I love. I'll go out for a short walk and I'll come back and dance in my room. So I just want to share that because to that question, to that caller, do something that you love first and foremost. So my exercise routine right now is 2 days a week Pilates, 2 days a week hot yoga, and then so that's 4 days a week. The other days are either a rest day or I do Tracy Anderson, which is online. So you can find that online. She's amazing. She has tons of videos. It's tracyanderson.com. She has tons of videos. You could do weights, you can do cardio, you can do 15-minute burns, 30-minute burns. She has something for everybody. So that's my other go-to. And then, like I said, on the days that I don't have time to do that, I'll just move my body any way I can. And to be honest, you guys, it really depends on how I feel, right? So you got to check in with how your body feels. If you don't feel like you can do a full workout and you're going to get benefit from that, then go to your iPad or your computer, find a yin yoga series and do a yin yoga class on the floor in your room, in your PJs or in your sweatpants with comfy clothes on, and just breathe and stretch and love on your body. Because, you know, I'm sharing all my journey, but this is the one thing that I have learned is you can eat for weight loss, okay? You can eat to feel better in your jeans. You can eat to feel better and exercise for all these reasons, to look good in a bathing suit, to all these things. And I'm talking from personal experience, right? Like that was my goal at one point, okay? Like that was all of what I cared for because I was in front of the camera a lot. I was showing my body a lot. I was doing all these things. And yes, of course, I want to feel and look good. I mean, I want to look as best as I can, but I need to feel good. And nowadays, I prioritize how I feel versus how I look. And let me tell you guys, it's easier to focus on how you feel versus how you look. Because if you focus on how you feel first, rather than the number on the scale, I guarantee you that the number on the scale is going to come down, or it's going to be what you want to see when you focus on how you feel. And I just want to pause when I say that for a second because I really want that to land, because I've learned the hard way. I've been really tough on my body. I have weighed myself every day just to see if the number would come down. And I was strict and I would, you know, and I am not like putting myself like down for going on these food journeys because I feel like it's taken me where I'm at now, where I can share my personal story. I can share my great recipes. I can share what I know now as far as like wisdom and knowledge around food and body and all that stuff. So I'm not knocking my journey around food and body image and all that stuff, because now I'm able to really share and come from a different place when I'm teaching people about this stuff. So again, my website, jennalobos.com, you'll get a better idea of what I teach. And nowadays I come from a different place. I come from a place of loving my body, love your life, love your body, loving my body, listening to my body, and doing things that feel right for me. And if that means that I don't feel like I should push myself to go do a hot yoga class, then I'm not going to do it. And the key here, you guys, is to get so embodied, meaning listening to your body and what it needs, to know, is today a day that I can push myself a little bit? Like, I'm just like, I don't feel like going, but I know that if I went, I would feel fine. And I'm not coming from like a military type energy of I'm going to do this no matter what. No. You need to feel into, is this a loving decision that I can make today for me because I haven't moved in a couple days? Or am I really like pushing myself to do something that my body just needs rest? So it's about getting to that place internally and really, really embodying that voice for yourself. So Olivia asked, how long does it take to get in touch with yourself, to know yourself? Yeah. That's a great question, Olivia. And thank you so much for writing in. How do I want to answer that? I feel like it really depends on the person. I don't feel like everybody is the same, because we all have things that we need to get in touch with and shine more light on it, right? So come from a different point of view, meaning it's not about there's something wrong with you, or, you know, you need to like fix anything to get in touch with yourself. It's about getting more embodied, getting more still, getting spending time with yourself, getting more intimate with yourself, learning to hear the preciousness of your inner child, maybe of that little voice. There's so many different ways that we can get back in touch with who we are internally, because we do focus on the external world a lot because we're living life, right? It's like coming at us. It's you know, there's people that trigger us. There's emotions that get stuck in our body from childhood, from yesterday. You know, I was triggered yesterday. I'm like, okay. And I teach this stuff, you know, it's like, I was triggered. So what do? You know, but I have the tools now to get back inside my body and be so on subject, meaning so on myself, that it's not going to matter what other people say, what other people are doing, or whatever your thing is. You know what I'm saying? So Olivia, to answer your question, I hope that answered your question, but it really is kind of going to depend on you and your personal journey. Again, my website's jennalobos.com. I do offer a free call to see if you and I are a good fit to work together. But I would love to help you in any way that I could, because I can tell you that once you are in touch more with your inner self, you will know what to eat. You will know when to eat it. You will know what is best for you as far as exercise goes. I've just had a lot of practice with this, you know, just because like I said, you guys, I've been on this kind of journey for a long, long time. And I'm not just talking food And body stuff, I'm talking internal healing, getting to know my triggers, getting to know what, all my trauma stuff that I needed to heal. There's a lot of things that go involved with listening and loving your body. It's not just diet. It's everything. It's emotions. It's, are we going to run from our feelings and emotions, or are we going to sit with them and love them and, be more in touch with them? And once you do that kind of work, you will know what is best for you. So I think that segues into what I was going to talk about, because we're going to keep it on the conscious eating title of our show. It segues into what I prioritize now. And it really is about conscious eating, you guys. It really is about tuning in and listening. To be honest, I'm more concerned about keeping my levels balanced these days more than weight loss or anything like that. But it's just kind of the because I feel like I'm coming from a different perspective, the weight is not an issue for me, so again, that's just a different perspective. But nowadays, what I really want to do, and what my intention is to keep everything balanced out in my body. My sugar levels balanced, my hormones balanced, just so I have some energy all throughout the day. And at the time, in 2009, when I was doing the raw food eating, that served me, it worked. And so I think that's another thing that I want to point out, is that there's not one way for every person throughout the whole entire life. As far as, this is my opinion, right? Like, I don't feel like one way for the rest of your life is going to work for the rest of your life. It's just, this is my opinion. Your body changes, you evolve, you are maybe living in a different climate, again, emotions are involved. Maybe you're going through grief or some sort of sadness, or you're happy or you're joyful. And for me, I know when I feel that way, I don't want to eat. I don't like, I'm not as hungry, right? Like, I'm excited if I'm happy, if I'm looking forward to something, or if I feel like these butterflies, it's like, I don't get as hungry, so I don't force myself to be like, oh, it's lunchtime, I'm going to eat because it's 12 o'clock. No, I listen to my body. If I don't feel like eating, then okay, I drink water, or I sip on my hot lemon and water, like I've talked about several times. So, another good thing is too, I brought this up before, I've talked about this in several other shows, is journaling. And have a food journal, see what works for you. Try different things. Like, some days I feel what works for me is like 5 little meals, throughout the day. Or sometimes when I have the time, I just have like a really nice big lunch, and then I eat something small for dinner. But I just kind of tune in. And I think that's something that is good and healthy, and coming from a different perspective, when we come from a loving, conscious place where we are choosing foods. So I would invite you to maybe ask yourself, like, if you're going for the junk food, then what's the reason? What's the reason why you're choosing a candy bar versus an apple? Are you sad? Are you mad? Are you anxious? What's happening? What's happening? Because obviously the apple is going to be more nutritious, a lot more vitamins and minerals, better for your body, fiber and a little sweetness, which is cool. So I think that's what I want to say, you guys. Just try to come from a different place. But I'm open to questions. If anybody has any other questions, I feel like I have touched on everything. Oh, so yes, I eat from a different perspective now where I do listen to my body. I pretty much eat the rainbow, right? Anything. Except I will say that I do stay away from dairy, um, gluten, dairy, and sugar, and soy. I do stay away from those things. Because for me, I know that I just feel better when I'm off of those 4 things that I said: gluten, soy, dairy, and sugar. So yeah, that's the other thing that I wanted to say. So yeah, so I hope you guys got something out of it. Enjoyed my raw food journey and a little bit of my food journey. Maybe I didn't. Okay, so here's another question. What do you do during social events that don't offer raw food option? Would you break your diet for these few occasions? Okay. So I was the girl that, so for social events, if you want to try this, for me, I was the girl that took my snacks and I would literally take my food to all my family functions during this 3 months. And it's funny, my half sister or my sister, she actually is the one that inspired me to do the raw chocolate video last week for my website, because she remembers me like bringing this igloo of raw chocolate to all of the Easter like brunches because I wouldn't eat anything else. I would bring my food with me to every family function. If I had a social event, I would have my snacks, which were almonds, maybe some like cut up fruit, some raw almond butter, or like maybe my chocolates. But pretty much my chocolates were only for my family occasions because you have to freeze them, you guys, and they'll melt really, really easily. So I hope that answers your question. For me, that's what worked. I would just take along my snacks, and then I would eat my meal when I got home, or I would eat my meal prior to going to a social event. It's funny. Like I said, I was modeling at the time when I was all Raw Foodie, and I went to an event for Fitness X magazine. And I ended up just talking to the owners of the magazine at the event. And, you guys, everybody says, oh, high protein, low carbs, to stay really lean and all this stuff. And so the owners of the Fitness X magazine actually approached me at this event. And they were like, how are you staying so lean? I was much tinier back then. But they were asking me like, how do you must be doing, high protein and steaks and all this stuff. And I was like, actually, no, I am a raw foodie right now. And I told them why I was doing the raw food diet. And so it was actually really cool because they talked a lot about, they had like women muscle weightlifting women in their magazine. And they would always, highlight these women, and these women would talk about their high protein diets and all this stuff. And I told them I was a raw foodie, and they asked me to write a Q&A back at that time, like Ask Jenna column. So it was really cool, you guys, because like I said, I was just starting out on this like creative path for myself. And I was really just trying to find out what I love to do. And they gave me my first opportunity to write in their magazine. And so I wrote a Q&A column called Ask Jenna for a year. And I wrote all about this kind of stuff, health and beauty, and all my DIY like recipes, which again, if you guys want to go to my website, jennalobos.com, I'm going to be posting a ton of more of my DIYs, my recipes, my skin routines, stuff like that. I make my own little rose toner. But so anyway, so yeah, that was a really cool gig because first of all, it opened up another door for me to teach me and show me that I love to write. And obviously I wrote the book, Love Your Body, Love Your Life, but that was kind of like my first introduction to writing and answering questions for people and really answering and sharing what I know. And so, yeah, I feel like, another thing that a lot of people say about the raw food, if you guys are interested, is I've heard, these raw foodists say that because you're eating so close to nature, that you are somehow like closer to, and this is again just another opinion, but people say that they feel if they're eating more closer to nature, they're more in touch with their God within, or their spirituality when they're eating less preservatives and there's no hormones in the meats that you're eating because you're not eating that. So you're not ingesting another animal's hormones or organs or anything like that. So if you want to think of it like in those terms, that's just another way of looking at raw food. If anybody's interested, again, all of this is online, you guys, and you can Google it. Tanya Zabasta, David Avocado Wolf. So I will say that it did have a lot of benefits for me at the time. So yeah. So I hope you guys got something out of it. And thank you so much for the questions, Heather and Olivia. I will plan to probably do another one of these shows on my protein shake and what I put in it. And yeah, until next time, you guys, eat healthy, make conscious, good decisions for your foods, surround yourself with really loving people, be good to your body, be good to yourself, say really nice things to yourself in the mirror, just love yourself, love on yourself more, and make decisions from that. So until next time, love your body and love your life. Take care. Bye.